Hello and welcome to Oldie but a Goodie. It's a podcast, like many podcasts, where we review movies. But the difference from other podcasts is we're reviewing movies from 94 in the order they came out in. This film came out in the second week of February. This is the second week of February the episode's getting released on, so it all works quite nicely. We're going to discuss, and perhaps discover, because we are historians, whether or not this film is an oldie or a goodie. My name's Sandro, that's Zach.
Cheese. That was it. I just wanted to say cheese for some reason. Anyway.
So before we started recording, I was like, Zach, just say something random when I introduced
it's
you.
cheese. Cheese is the thing I went for.
I
don't know what happens, but my mind went to cheese. It went through the different types of cheese. You got cheddar, you got mozzarella, you got brie. I do love me some brie. The triple cream brie.
How about smoked cheese?
Smoked cheese. I'm not the hugest fan of smoked cheese.
Really?
I feel like if it's a soft smoked cheese, I'll go for it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's my go-to, is smoked cheese.
There you go. We'll have to compare cheese notes.
We'll have to compare cheese notes one day.
We should do a bonus episode called All About Cheese, which is we review cheese from 1994.
That sounds great.
It's so dumb.
Cheese made in 1994 or cheese that was popular in 94?
Both. Just anything.
Either way, it sounds like we may get sick afterwards.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan to me.
How about milk from 94?
Oh, no, thank you. Hard pass on that one. Anyway, what are we reviewing today?
Today we are deciding whether or not My Girl 2 was an oldie or a goodie.
My Girl 2.
Yes.
As in the sequel.
Yes.
To My Girl 1.
It's not called My Girl 1, it's just called My Girl.
No, it's called 1. Just like it's called Jurassic Park 1. Or, what other things have sequels that I can put a 1 in front
Star
of?
Wars, what that...
That
there
is,
a Star
no,
Wars
that's
one.
that, okay. Alright, Sandro, you had one job. Xbox One. Wait, no, that's confusing.
A thing. This is going on way too long.
Okay. Anyway.
My Girl 2 is a sequel to a film. And we were like, how do we do sequels?
How about, here's an idea, Sandro. Okay. How about you watch the first one first, then watch the second one, and then I'll just watch the second one and have no idea what's going on.
Well, it's a good thing you suggested that, because that's exactly what we did.
What? No way.
Because I chose to review My Girl 2 this week.
Yep.
I chose between two options. Yeah. To be honest, they both looked pretty good.
Okay.
I did choose My Girl, but the other option was a film called The Getaway.
Oh, okay.
It's Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger. And they're just like going around stealing stuff and driving cars and doing crimes.
That sounds pretty alright.
Baldwin says it's one of his least favourite films.
Okay.
So I chose this one instead.
Right, fair enough.
But that one did look like a bit of fun. So you never know. But yeah, we're doing My Girl 2. But first, what was the first one like? You may be wondering.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. Like, hey, how does this one relate to the first one? Seeing as I haven't seen the first one, and there's some interesting things that happen that I'm like, was that part of the first one? Is this new? I'm not sure.
My Girl 1, for some reason, My Girl 1 and 2
I believe it's called My Girl, not My Girl 1, Sandra.
The first one is on Netflix worldwide. So no matter where you are, you can watch it. The second one is on Netflix in every country aside from Australia. But yeah, I checked out the first one. It came out 1991.
Yep.
It's got 57% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not bad, but like it also has very positive reviews. Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars. Okay. Which is excellent.
You think it should have more?
I think it should be somewhere in the 80% because I thought it was very, very good.
Really?
I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
It was a big box office success as well. It made 60 million, which is like tripling how much it made.
Damn. That's a lot of hollow dollar.
But yeah, I'd say it's really good.
Oh yeah.
So it's about the main character Vada.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not the Star Wars Vader.
No. I was very confused as to whether or not that was her actual name or her nickname for like the first half of that film.
Okay, yep.
Because everyone's like, Vader. And I was like, hang on a second.
Is this a Star Wars reference? What's happening?
I think it's set in 72.
Yeah.
And it's her, she lives with her dad. Her mother passed away shortly after she was born.
Yeah.
And her dad is a caretaker.
Yep.
And funeral man.
Yeah.
Played by Dan Aykroyd.
He's great.
He's so good.
Great.
He's not a great dad though. He sort
No.
of ignores her for most of the first film.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's a caretaker. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of warning signs to
Yeah.
tell you he's not a good dad, I feel. I haven't seen the first one, but I could tell in this movie he was, trying to be a better
He's
dad.
trying in the second one, and first
Yeah.
one is not so much. But
Okay.
Jamie Lee Curtis comes along and joins the family business.
Woo.
Turns out that she and Aykroyd have a thing for each other. They get married, and the film is basically about Vada being like, "Oh, people die. That's sad."
Yeah.
And also being like, "Oh, my dad's marrying someone else. That's what this is not."
That's a lot to handle.
It's a lot to handle that young.
Death and marriage.
To make it worse,
hardcore hitting things.
To make it worse, Macaulay Culkin's in that movie.
Oh.
From Home Alone fame,
Yeah.
and he dies.
Oh no.
So
Oh dear.
they're best friends, and he goes off into the woods by himself at the very end, gets stung by bees, dies. And
What?
so on top of
Wow.
everything crazy going on in this film,
Jesus.
we've also got a dead kid. And it's
Jesus
just full on.
Christ.
It's definitely a goodie for me.
I'm gonna have to check it out then if you think it's
really
a goodie. Yeah.
If you like those early 50s or 60s Disney movies like Mary
Yeah.
Poppins or
I do like me some Poppins.
Huckleberry and Finn, those
Yeah.
sort of films, or maybe even the Anne of Green Gables TV show, stuff like
Right.
that, you'll love it. It's in
Oh,
that
there you
sort
go.
of vein, which is something I was a big fan of.
Anyway, moving on to the main meal of this evening.
Yum yum yum. Let's get our stomachs
No,
ready.
please stop. Please don't. I made a joke and then you just pushed it over the line. I was on a precipice of a cliff and you just whoosh. Anyway.
Just pushed it over. My Goal 2, released February 11th, 94.
Yep.
Directed by the same guy as the first one. His name is Howard Zeef.
Bless you.
It's the last. It's the last film he ever directed. He had pretty severe Parkinson's disease and
no.
couldn't manage to work through it after this film, but he did manage to direct this one, which is really good.
That's good.
He's done some very successful movies. The biggest one is a comedy in the 80s called Private Benjamin.
Oh.
I think I've seen
Yeah,
it.
no, I think I've heard of that one as well.
It was a pretty big box office hit. It got nominated for a bunch of Oscars and got a
Nice.
TV show, and they're thinking about
There you
remaking it. So yeah.
go. That's cool.
But yes, like the first one, the cast is the same. Dan Aykroyd is Vader's dad. Harry, funeral director, doesn't understand kids.
Yeah.
You know what's going on.
All he understands is coffins.
He understands coffins.
Uh-huh.
He understands bowling,
Yep.
and he sort of understands how to use a phone.
Yes. Not entirely, though.
He's great. He knows how to play the saxophone
Yeah.
or the trumpet.
No, the tuba.
Tuba.
That's it. Tuba. It's very clearly a tuba because he plays a few mad tunes during the movie.
He does, doesn't he?
What a mad lad.
Jamie Lee Curtis is in this one as well.
Yep.
She plays Shelley. Main character Vada, played by Anna Chomsky.
There you go.
She's been in a bunch of stuff. So she retired after My Girl 2 came out to finish high school and do uni.
Yep. that
But
makes
she's
sense.
returned as one of the main characters of the TV show Veep.
Ah.
So it's
Well,
pretty good.
There you go. Yeah. What did you think of her acting?
She's really good in the first one.
Yeah.
Not as good in the second one.
Oh, really?
But still pretty good.
Okay.
There was some forced jokes, I think, from
Yes.
her, but aside from
Now,
that,
that
it was
was
pretty
a point I was going to get on if you hadn't noticed it. I felt like some of the lines were really forced.
Yeah.
Not really forced, but forced. And half the time it felt like they were rushing through the script.
Yeah, it is a different writer to the first one as well. So that
Yeah,
could
no,
have something to do
it's
with it.
really weird. For the first sort of half of the film, it feels weirdly unnatural. By
I
the
can see that. Yeah.
that was just my personal take on it. By halfway, it starts getting a bit more natural. They get into a natural flow of talking. It's just really weird at first. I don't know. I wasn't really used to it. It was just a weird thing I picked up on.
We don't know how much this film cost.
Yeah.
No idea.
Oh,
The
okay.
first one was about 15 million, so I guess it's probably the
Right.
same. Maybe
Probably-
a little bit more, seeing
I
as it's
think
got
it's
more
more
star power.
expensive. I'd think it would be 20 at least.
Yeah, because of course, the cast members would want to get a little bit
exactly.
more and stuff like that.
Yeah, except hey, a lot of cast members died in the previous movie. Don't have to pay for them anymore. Hey, got it.
How much do you think it made?
I'm gonna say 40. 40 is a good mark.
Unfortunately, it only made 70 million.
17?
17.
17.
Which
Wow.
is not very
Oh, ouch.
good. It's got 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. But just like the first one, I had a look and none of them are credible critics that gave them that
really?
score. It does have a cinema score of B+, though.
B+.
Yeah, that's everything about the movie.
Cool.
Let's get into it.
Let's get right into the movie review.
Not again. How does it open?
Well, it has a pretty good opening, honestly, with the main character just sort of suddenly being there.
Yeah.
And she starts saying some interesting things to just start you off the film.
Just staring directly into the camera.
Yeah, like just I got a sort of comedy vibe from it, and I feel like that's the whole purpose. Obviously, is to set that as the tone as a sort of comedy sort of vibe, lighthearted. She says, "I remember before I was born, curled up in the highly overrated fetal position. It's a good thing I'm not claustrophobic." Which is an interesting line to start off the film.
It's good. It sort of lays down the groundworks that her stepmom is pregnant now. That's kind of what the intro is there to do. The first one did the same thing though, but I feel like the first one was just slightly better.
Yeah, I feel like that was like a callback to something.
Yeah.
And like a callback to her being weird. I don't know.
I forget exactly what she says in the first one, but it's something to do with she's got a bunch of illnesses and she's gonna die soon, and like,
oh nice,
it's pretty dark, but it's also like hilarious. It's really, really well delivered in the first one.
That's referenced to the fact that the film's about death.
Yeah.
And then this one, that's a reference to how the film's about babies.
Pretty much, it's about motherhood and
love,
mothers
love. Come on,
all those classic sequel
copyright
things.
strike.
Anyway, so it's set in
1997. That sort of flashes up.
1974.
They're setting up a sort of funeral parlor. It cuts to them setting up this sort of funeral parlor with a coffin and the chairs. The dad's being very pedantic about how everything's supposed to be set. And then her friend comes over.
Judy.
Judy.
We see a bit of her in the first one. She's friends with the people who bully Vada. And then when Macaulay Culkin dies, they become friends.
Oh.
And then she's sort of in the second one for like 5 minutes and then is
in the
quickly
second
moved
one,
out of the way.
She's there. She's like a character that pops in to scenes but doesn't really do anything.
No. I do like that scene though, because Judy comes in and is like, "What you doing?" And Vader just goes on a tangent about what dead bodies look like when you get them out of the river.
Yikes. Yeah, that was pretty funny, where she's like describing how awful they look.
Yeah.
And
it was something about like swollen toes at one point.
Yeah, no. It was a real solid gag where turns out Judy is like, "Yeah, no, I'm done with this."
She just quits. She just leaves.
She runs off. And like one of the guys helping out makes a comment like, "Yeah, no, I think you lost them at the swollen toes."
Yeah.
Which is rather amusing. I think they have some conversation about her moving rooms. So
the baby
because they're having a new baby.
Yeah.
They want the room that's closest to the adult's room. Because then they can reach the baby easiest. Unfortunately, that's her room, so they have to sort of swap her out to one of the... Oh, yeah, they swap her out to the old grandma's room.
That's right, that's where that comes in. So her grandmother was not a main character in the first one, but was there. She lived in the same house as them.
Okay.
There's one point in the first one where they are holding a funeral. And the grandma gets loose from her room.
Oh, no.
Walks to the front of the funeral and just starts singing opera.
Oh, no. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
At the same time, the worst. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, moving into your dead grandma's room, not
great.
That makes it a lot worse than I thought it was, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
true.
there you go.
She is
This is
very
why she's
opposed to this idea.
Yeah.
And so Dan Aykroyd is like, "Hey, let's go bowling."
Yeah.
And they go bowling, and he just tries to convince her to take the room.
Yeah. No. He pretends he's not trying to persuade her, and she's like, "Yeah. So what do you want?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing. I just wanted to go bowling." "Yeah, what did you want?" And he's like, "Well, I just think you should have this room." And she's like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah.
Um.
Dan Aykroyd is pretty funny in this. He does a good job.
Yeah. I don't know how was he in the first movie?
He was playing it pretty straight for the first one.
Right. In this one, he's not as straight. He's more of like.
Yeah, he's having a bit of fun.
Yeah. No,
in
it's
the
more
second.
comedy.
Yeah.
I felt from
I don't
him.
know.
So there you go.
I don't know where this is at in his career. I know there was some point where he's into like weird cult stuff at the moment, I think.
What?
He thinks that that NASA scientists go into the sky to look for giant eggs.
Okay.
Just stuff like that.
Dan Aykroyd on the crack ride, I think. Yikes.
Anyway.
Okay, so that's a fun fact. I did not know that actor was in an interesting place at the moment.
He is doing Ghostbusters 3, but it's Stranger Things, though.
Oh, really?
Whatever that movie is. Have you heard of that?
No, I have not.
They announced a Ghostbusters film that is basically the Ghostbusters are teaching young kids how to be Ghostbusters, and it just looks like Stranger Things.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, nice.
Hey, that doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah.
Sounds better than recent Ghostbusters
I
movies.
liked that movie.
I also was alright with that movie. I just felt it was a meh movie.
So they go out, Judy and Vada, they go out to a shop.
They go hang at a chemist or something. I don't know where it was.
Of course, they're hanging at a chemist.
They don't want to die.
No.
They know all about death, Sandro, so they gotta get those drugs.
They don't want those swollen toes.
Ugh.
They want.
Please don't mention those ever again.
There's this guy that Judy likes who Judy thinks likes Vader, and that was when I went, oh, this is the puberty film. That's what this one is.
Well, it's half puberty film. It's also
kind of.
Yeah,
it's
I
more of
guess
a subplot.
Yeah,
it's
like
not really.
It's a becoming an adult film, so puberty's part of that.
Yeah, of course. And then she asks her parents about it, and that was a pretty funny scene, I thought.
Yeah.
Where it's just
he's like, oh dear, I'm a grown man. I don't like the fact that my daughter's coming of age. Oh dear.
Anyway.
And his wife is like, oh, it's just part of growing up.
She wants to ask her mum some questions.
Yes.
So she's like, yeah, I'm going through all this. I can't ask my dad stuff.
Yeah, because he only knows about embalming.
I could ask my stepmom, but, I've already asked her a lot. And also she's pregnant and I don't want to annoy her. I wish I could ask my mum. And that's...
but your mum's dead.
Oh,
pranked.
And so the teacher in her English class, or like writing class,
or whatever,
is like, what I want you to do over the next week or so is I want you to write an essay about someone you admire, but someone you have never met. And some of the class members are like, oh, write about Elvis.
Yeah, except it's really dumb because the teacher's like calls out people in the middle of class just after he's revealed this. He calls them out on the spot. They have to come up with someone.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, if I was a kid, I'd be terrified in that class. One of the guys is like, I'll do one on this lady who runs or something. And he's like, why do you want to do that? And he's like, oh, I enjoy watching her run. And it's like, why do you enjoy that? And it's like,
never mind. I'll do it on someone else.
This
is weird.
Yeah, no. It was a really weird scene. Anyway,
it was kind of funny though.
She's asked what she's doing it on. And she's like, I'm going to do it on my mum. I never met my mum.
So she asks her dad more information about her mum, and turns out she was in a theatre group.
Yeah.
So like she came to town, and they met, and they were like, "Hey, I'm just gonna move here."
Yeah.
And that's how that all worked.
Yeah.
There was a kind of a funny line while they were having that conversation. They're trying to pick out wallpaper for her new room.
Yeah.
And Aykroyd's like, "How about this nice like yellow olive wallpaper?"
And she's like, no, Dad, and goes and grabs the black wallpaper. And it's like, I want this one. And he's like, oh no, she's getting moody. She's a teenager. Oh no.
It was a good scene. It was a good
so
one.
dumb.
that's followed by another great scene.
Yeah.
Where her classmates are like, why are you gonna do it on your mum? Why is she so special? And Vada comes up with the most intricate line.
Yes.
It's so good. She's like, well, she was a
Yeah.
spy for the Russians. She was an undercover.
What?
She was an undercover actor who went to Russia to discover their plans. And she comes out with like this whole like movie plot,
Yeah.
like weaving it into real life, and it really works, and it's good.
Yeah, and
It's
then
good.
the kids are like, no, that's dumb. You're dumb. And then they're like, you should pick someone else.
But she doesn't. She does not.
So she's like, I need to find information about me mum.
Yeah, it's the doctor from Blink again.
I need to find information about me mum.
That is not the same accent.
I'm going to go talk to my stepmom. And the stepmom's
I
like,
hope this character shows up in every single episode from now on until people start complaining.
Oh, jeez.
The doctor from Blink's in every episode.
Oh, you know what you should do? You should go to Las Vegas.
Los Angeles, yes.
Yeah, whatever. Same thing.
One of those two. That's right.
Because your uncle's there. You should go, because that's where your mum used to live. You should go visit them.
Yeah. I think the uncle was in the first one.
Yeah.
I can't remember when, but I know Uncle Phil, the
was
character's
he?
name, Uncle Phil, he shows up in the first one for like,
Okay.
like 2 minutes or so.
Yeah, no, I thought it was like just some new characters they introduced.
For his partner and her son, they were new characters. But yeah, for him, he was in the first one for like a minute or something.
There you go. Didn't know.
So yeah, Shelley's like, you should go to LA, but her dad does not approve.
Yeah.
Her dad's like, you don't send a child to Los Angeles by herself. She can get her ears pierced and legs shaven and God knows what else.
Okay, apparently, I guess ear piercing I can understand. Leg shaving, I'm like,
But how does she convince her dad to let her go?
I bought a ticket. They try and convince him.
Yeah.
Then mid trying to convince him, she's like, oh yeah, I already bought a ticket. And he's like, what? And she's like, I spent my whole allowance on it. My whole life savings on this ticket.
And they won't let me
He's
get
like-
a refund.
What? And then he's like, how did they do this? How did a minor buy this? And the wife is like, I helped. And he's like, what?
It was good. It was a good one.
It was great because
The first
they
half
literally
hour of
just
this film
didn't
is so good.
consult him
Yeah.
at all. Anyway,
And Dan Aykroyd, like he's a great actor when he's a paranoid person. He's
Yeah,
a really
yeah,
good
no, he's
paranoid
great.
comedic actor.
he's great
he
when
does
he's
well.
worried.
Yeah,
he does
yeah.
worried really well.
Anyway, so she goes to the airport. She flies over to LA,
Woo.
and she's met by a guy called Nick.
Yeah.
Um,
So she's waiting for her uncle
yeah.
because she's been told by her dad to be super careful not to talk to strangers and get on all this trouble.
If you see a nun, don't even talk to the nun.
Don't even talk to the nuns.
That's a line.
Yeah.
And just like the line that I said before about getting your ears pierced, it comes back around at the end.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, so
good joke writing film.
so she meets this kid called Nick,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "I'm here to pick you up," and she's like, "No, I'm not coming with you." And then he steals her bag.
I was
I was
not
like-
a fan of Nick for
Yeah,
most
no,
of this
Nick.
film.
Nick is not a character I'm a fan of. He's just kind of a dick.
Yeah. He would be about the same age as her. So like,
Oh
it
yeah, they're both the
does-
same age.
It does make sense age-wise that he would act like that, but that doesn't make it any less annoying.
Yeah, it's just kind of annoying. Anyway, so he
That's
takes.
right. They hop in a taxi.
Yeah, they steal a taxi off of him. They literally push a woman out of the way to get into this taxi. I know it's meant to be a joke, but like, good
Oh,
lord.
This kid.
Yeah. And then they drive to the shop.
Yeah, so Uncle Phil, he owns an auto repair shop.
Yeah.
And that's where he lives. His partner, Rose, I believe.
Yeah.
It's where she lives as well, and her son, Nick. So Nick is not blood related to Phil.
Yeah.
Which is an integral plot
Oh
point.
no. It's so bad. Anyway, so they run this like repair shop for cars and other things.
Yeah.
And yeah, she meets up with them and it's all
Yeah.
so cool.
She's like, I want to go and have a look around for my mum. And
Yep.
and Uncle Phil's like, well, Nick, you better go with her. Here's a tenner, and I'll pay you.
Yep.
So go and make sure she's safe around LA.
Yep. And she's like, "Oh, you just coming me to get paid?" And he's like, "No, I'm just just trying to be nice and help you out. I mean, he's a dick about it, but yeah.
But so is she to a point as well.
Yeah,
They're both pretty mean towards each other for a lot of the film.
So they go to find info on her mum.
Yep.
First, they check out the high school she was.
To
was
try
in.
and find a yearbook.
Unfortunately, solid prank. They've pranked her. School doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, she got pranked by the prank patrol.
And a fire.
And a fire.
Because
That as well.
School burnt down, which is a bummer, and sort of puts a kink in her plans. But she's like, you know what? There's still like a yearbook or something we can go and find.
Got to be out there somewhere. So they go to the big warehouse in LA that contains every single yearbook ever, apparently.
Yeah.
It might be the people that print it.
Yeah, something like that. Some sort of library of books or something, storage, something like that. Anyway, she finds a person who's nearby, which is a police guy.
Now, this police guy, again, flashback to Blink, the police and that, kind of incompetent.
Yeah.
This police guy, though, is a new level of incompetence.
He's just... it's so dumb. His character's dumb. It's a dumb character.
I thought it was kind of funny, though.
Yeah.
Like, he's got this weird feud going on with Nick as well.
Yeah, no.
It's like, what's the point of this?
What is even happening? So, the police officer talks about her mum. He reveals that he turned her in for smoking.
Yes.
So, she's like, wait, my mum smoked? And he's like, yeah, she was kind of just a bad student. And he was the hall monitor. He was the classic nerdy geek. And then Nick's like, wow, what a nerdy geek person. How dare you do your job and get someone in trouble for smoking.
So the police officer is like, well, there's also someone else who went to the school. You should go and ask him. He is a guy called Stanley. He's a photographer. Yeah. And he's real, like, weird.
Yeah,
he's a strange bloke.
He's just a weird person. Yeah, no.
It was like, very funny.
He was just weird.
Like, he was at this wedding and just yelling at people to smile, just in a, like, deeply unnerving yet hilarious way.
Everybody smile, pretend like you're happy inside. Jeez, click. Beautiful. What an amazing photo. And then he moves on, but in, like, a really bland way.
Yeah.
And then he's talking to her in this monotone sort of thing, like, yeah, I knew your mother. Your mother was real nice. I never forget a face. Like, she always did. And then he talks about her mum and how she was an actor.
Yeah, she was an actor. She was also a poet.
Yeah. And then we sort of move on from him. So there you go.
He's gone.
What a character.
She's like, man, I wish I could find this poet. I think his name is Beatermeyer or something. Yeah. Something like that, because she's a fan of his poems. Yeah. And she's like, man, I wish we could run into that poet. And they're walking on the street, and they run into the poet on the street.
Ba-ba.
I quite liked him. He was like, he's a little bit grumpy, but in like a tongue-in-cheek way.
He's like he's a grumpy old man.
Like, who's self-aware that he's a grumpy old man?
Yeah, he was he was like a grumpy old man, which was great. Yeah. And pretty much he's doing a bit of poetry or something outside. They help him upstairs because his like flat's up a flight of stairs. Yeah. He takes quite a bit to get up.
Quite a long time.
He has this line where they're like, well, at least you get some exercise. And he's like, yeah, keeps me young.
Yes.
Which is, very amusing. Anyway, he's like, yeah, no, I knew her. You want to be a poet? Don't.
No one cares about poets. People care about TVs.
TV. Don't be a poet, be a TV repairman. Which I thought was great, because I was expecting him to say like an actor or something, a TV presenter or something, but no, a TV repairman.
It's good.
Which is funny.
Vada and Nick, they're sort of like hit a dead end.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, what do we do? So they go off to a park, and she reveals this mood ring. Yeah. Macaulay Culkin gave it to her.
Yes, that's what I thought. Like, this is the point where I learned about Macaulay Culkin's character. Yeah. And I was like, that was a unique character. Oh, he died.
Yes.
Oh.
So she dropped the mood ring in a forest. He went off to find it, got stung by a bunch of bees, died, but held onto it and gave it to her. So, like, she's
really
She's
attached to this mood
very
ring.
attached to the mood ring. And so what does Nick do to this mood ring that she's just revealed how much she likes
It's just
it?
such a cringy scene, because obviously this is what the writers put out, that he's going to be just a dick.
Yeah.
But, oh boy, it's not cool, dude.
No.
Not cool at all. Anyway, he says he wants to have a look at it,
Mm.
see how it works. He tries to put it on, but it's not working, and then he won't give it back
No.
because she's getting nervous now and she really wants it back. Then he starts flailing around. They're running after each other, and then they get near this tar pit.
Yes.
They're fighting over it near the edge, and then he goes, "Uh-oh." And she's like, "What?" It's like, "I've dropped it." And she's like, "No." And then she runs away. She runs towards the tar pit, is about to, she starts climbing this fence. He tries to stop her, pulls it down, and she's like, "No, I have to get that ring back." And he's like, "This ring?" And he pulls up the ring. "Yeah, no, I just kept it. Lol." Yeah.
We continue them trying to find people who knew her mother storyline. They meet an actor.
Yeah.
The actor
Yeah.
reveals that his ex was good friends with
Oh,
Maggie,
right, yeah, that's
who
true.
they go and see later
So
on.
they go see this actor because they know she was an actor, and he's like, "Oh yeah, she was real pretty. You're real pretty. You would make a great movie star."
And that's all that is. He's
Yep.
just there to point them in the direction of someone else. They
Yeah.
go home. Phil and Rose are getting ready to have a date night.
Yep.
So they leave the house and they're like, "You better stay here, you better eat your food, and you better go to sleep, and no more funny business."
Yep.
And so they sneak out.
Yeah, because of course they've got to do it today.
There's this weird scene where they go to a club or a bar or something,
Yeah,
and this guy just blows weed smoke
No,
in
no,
the
no.
face.
They're outside a bar or
Okay.
something. They're not in it because they're children, but they're just out and about on the streets, and this guy just walks past them and blows smoke in their face, and I'm like,
Wow.
who does that?
I don't know.
Anyway,
She sees a place to get her ears pierced and is like,
for super cheap,
Mm.
and you get earrings for only $5.
Yeah.
So of course she gets her ears
Yeah.
pierced, which is exactly what the dad was afraid of, which
Mhm.
comes up. Rules of Threes comes
Yeah.
back at the very end, which is really funny. I was very
Yeah.
glad about that. That was a good gag.
I sort of liked Nick's take on ears getting pierced, though. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's a barbaric custom."
Yeah.
It's just-
And then after she has it, it's a very weird stance. He's very fervent about this
Yeah.
stance. Then she asks him again, and he just repeats, "Yeah, I just think it's a barbaric sort of thing." "Oh, but on you, they look alright."
It's just,
Ah,
there's this.
ah.
This is followed by one of my least favorite scenes, but I kind of had fun with it because it's a
Yeah.
bit funny, where they just spend 2 minutes explaining how they aren't actually cousins.
Yeah, no,
Just because, you know what's coming.
yeah, no, they're they focus on the fact that his parent or his mum or whatever, they could get married.
Yes.
Then that would make them cousins.
Yes.
But they're not blood related,
No.
so that's fine.
It's just
That's totally fine. I'm glad that's a feature of this movie.
good stuff. They go back home and the parents are
Certainly
like...
stuff.
They go back home and Phil and Rose are like, "You snuck out. How dare you?"
Yeah.
And Phil's like, "Wait, you got your ears pierced without your father's permission. You didn't get your legs shaven, did ya? He'd
Yeah.
never let you visit again if I sent you back hairless and full of holes."
Which was an amazing line.
So then Vader and Nick go to the dressmaker who the actor told them about.
Yep.
She knew her mum. She's a pretty fun character as well.
Yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah.
Very in touch with their emotions.
Yeah, so...
And just sort of bursts into tears thinking about the dead person.
So Vader is like, "Yeah, my mum died," and then she starts crying, and she's like, wait, how did you know where to find me?" "Oh, we found your ex," and she starts crying again.
Yeah.
It was good.
It's just... Yep.
Um,
Anyway, she tells them about the... she accidentally mentions that her mum had a previous husband.
yes, Jeffrey
Yeah.
is his name.
And they're like, "What?"
Yeah, Vader's kind of upset by this.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I could have a different dad."
Yeah.
Because she's sort of upset because she thinks that maybe this other person might be her actual dad.
Mm-hmm.
Nick is all like, yo, don't worry, you're beautiful, and you're you, and you're you just be you, girl.
At
And
this point, Nick is just a compliment machine for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
Oh, I just hate their stupid relationship. I get it. They're kids. They're just having a relationship.
Yeah.
It's not going to last, and no one cares.
they're gonna be cousins soon. It's just gonna be weird. Just stop
What a
it.
guy.
Get
What a
some
guy.
help. Good on you, Nick. You know what? What an act. He was a fine actor.
Yeah.
He's a fine actor, boy. He's just has the worst character to play ever. Anyway.
Yeah. It's his character where I could really notice the change in writer. Because I
Yeah.
feel like if it was the same writer as the first film, it would have been somewhat, like, enjoyable, his
I don't know.
storyline. But because it's in the hands of someone who writes everything Hollywood, it's
Okay.
okay, sure. This is what we're getting.
Yeah. Hey, it starts picking up at this point, and I actually thought this next whole half of the film was, or like quarter or whatever.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it actually.
It was really fun.
Yeah, they tied off all the stories nicely, which was good.
So she goes back to the policeman
Yeah.
and is like, hey, I need information on this guy called Jeffrey.
Can you illegally look up where he lives for us?
And he's like, no, I can't do that. I can't. Like, if I needed to get that information, I'd have to...
Hey, nerd!
Hey, shut up, Nick.
How about
you dumb-
How about you, nerd? Stop being a dweeb all your life. And
Nick.
how about you don't be such a freaking loser?
I told you to
Actually,
lose this guy.
How about you don't be such a loser and you actually
Hey,
do
Nick.
something cool?
Hey, Nick, how about I actually do look up this guy, because to do that, I need to give him a criminal record. How about I just quickly give him a quick criminal charge
Yeah.
and look him up.
Wow. Now that you've broken the law for 2 children to prove that you're not a nerd, now I can give you deep respect.
It's so dumb.
It's
But
really
it's funny.
dumb.
It's funny.
It's a funny scene. But
So,
what is this police officer doing?
he's gonna
Breaking
lose
the
it,
law
you know.
for
like, he could have been like, hey, where does this guy live? He's got a speeding ticket. But
Yeah.
that's not the lie he comes up with. He's like, yeah, I need the address for Jeffrey. I think he's going after the governor.
Yeah, no. Well, what they needed, because you see, he calls up at first to get the address,
Yeah.
and they tell him it'll be done in like a week.
Mm.
And they're like, well, we'll be gone in a week now. And so he's like, well, I can't do much more. And then he's like, come on, don't be such a nerd, you nerd. And he's like, all right. And so he has to bump up it in the queue
Yeah.
to know where they are. So he makes up this lie that he's after the governor and gets their address. So
He's losing his job, maybe.
yeah, I hope
probably.
he does.
I hope
but
he does. Or maybe Jeffrey does get arrested in My Girl 3.
oh wow,
And
what a twist!
what a twist. So she goes over to Jeffrey's house with Phil.
Yep,
She introduces herself. Turns out he's remarried.
Yep.
They've got a kid.
yep.
And he already knew that she existed, which is
Yes.
interesting.
He learnt about it after the other person died.
Yeah.
Probably something about the funeral or something.
Yes.
No, this
Well-
is me assuming outside
Well,
the movie, which
yeah.
is good to do.
We know that Dan Aykroyd didn't know about him,
Yes.
so I don't know if he would have
Oh yeah,
invited...
that's true. That's
I don't
that
know.
doesn't make sense with my theory. Which
Or
is a
maybe,
really
maybe
interesting-
he does know, but just doesn't want to know the specifics, like what his name was or anything.
yeah,
like
maybe,
that. But,
maybe.
you know,
Who knows?
we don't really know. I'm pretty sure back
Anyway.
then they used to publish funerals and everything in the paper, so we probably found out
Yes,
about it that way.
I mean, he probably just learnt about it from friends or whatever. Anyway,
Jeffrey has a home video of
Yeah.
their times as an acting troupe,
Yeah.
and so we play that. It's a really cool way to get like an ending on this journey.
Yeah.
Having
so
his home
we
video.
just see this video of her mum just sort of going around being an actor, being sort of human, having fun and laughing and all this thing, and she gets real emotional.
Mm.
And he's like, do you want these movies? And she's like,
Yeah.
yes.
He's a
More
nice
than
guy.
anything. Yeah, he's a
nice
cool guy. And then they have this talk where she's like, are you my dad? And he's like, no,
No.
no, I am not. As much as I'd love to be your dad, I'm not. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Calm down, young lady. And then they have a good hug out.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're a fantastic girl. The reason we broke up, in fact, was because I didn't want to have any children.
Yeah.
But he was super glad that she did eventually get a child from this other guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's really cool.
He is.
He's just a cool guy.
He's a good bloke.
Good bloke. Solid dude.
We've sort of ignored it up until this point, but I guess now we should mention this side character.
Yeah.
A doctor that drives a Jaguar.
Oh, right. Yeah, this character. I forgot about him. He's keeps coming back to this repair shop to hit on the lady who's with the uncle.
Yeah.
But she's giving him the cold shoulder
Yeah.
because the uncle doesn't want to marry her
Yeah.
because he's scared of commitment.
Exactly.
So there's this whole sort of side story about them and their relationship.
Vada, she goes back to the auto repair shop, says goodbye to Phil, Rose, and Nick, and the doctor who shows up last minute with a cake.
Yeah, with a cake. He's like, oh, it's a traditional cake from where you come from, because they had that conversation earlier.
Yeah, she's from like
and he's
Hungary or something. Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm putting my foot down. The uncle, it is.
Yeah.
I'm putting my foot down. How dare you come in to harass this person? Come on, tell him we're in a relationship. And it's like, what relationship are we in, are we? And then they have this whole confrontation where he's trying to get her to tell the other guy that they're in like a relationship or whatever. And she's like, are we though? Are we? And he's like, well, we are, aren't we? I love you. And she's like, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Prove it, sort of thing. And he's like, well, will you marry me? And she's like, hell yeah.
Yeah. And all throughout it, this doctor guy is just there with like this sad look on his face.
Yeah,
it's
it's
funny.
great. It's really great how they just like snub him.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'll just leave now. Bye.
So they drop Vada off at the airport.
First off, they're like, bye, uncle, thank you very much. Bye, aunt.
Yeah.
Rose or whatever, because they're gonna get married.
Yeah.
So, hey, Nick, we're cousins. That's a bit of a bummer.
No, it isn't, because he kisses her. Now, it was forced and not great.
Yeah.
But Phil and Rose's look on their face as Nick
Yes.
walked out, having seen this, was just a look
Like-
of like, what? It
What
was
are you-
great.
Yeah, no, that was probably the best bit of that scene. Yeah.
It was that was a funny way to end what was a very strange.
Yeah, no, that's pretty awkward.
Anyway, she goes back home.
Yeah.
She arrives minutes after Shelley has her baby,
Yep.
and that's how it ends with
Yeah.
them as a new
So
family.
she they go and meet the baby. The dad makes a comment. It's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. They hug and whatever. It's like, wait a minute, what's that on your ears? Which I was like, yes, good joke. Got him.
Good. It's all resolved, and that is the end of the film.
Yeah. So, what did you think? Sandra.
It's definitely a little bit of a misstep from the first one. It's got
Yeah.
a few sequel cliches.
Yeah.
Mainly just the whole romance thing I thought was a bit forced.
Yeah, no. What do you think of, like, the plots? Which is a stronger plot? I think the other film, like the first film, probably has a stronger plot on the death thing. What do you
The first one is way more... Like, it definitely affects you more, because, like, kids die and it's quite dark at points.
Yeah, no, that's pretty dark.
The second one is somewhat light. Like, it's much lighter. I
Right.
do prefer the plot of the first one, but I do really like her journey with, like, her mum as well. I thought that was really,
Well,
really
there you
solid.
go. There you go.
I would say a Goodie.
Goodie.
I'm gonna go a Goodie because I did enjoy it, despite everything with Nick being not great. I did enjoy everything else. How about
So
you?
there you go. Okay. Well, me not seeing the first film probably has skewed me because I just got sort of bored with this film. And maybe it's just not my kind of film.
Maybe.
I feel like that's more everything else. But I'm going to slam it with an oldie.
Oh,
And
now,
that's...
that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, though.
Yeah, no.
So, you know.
It's really borderline for me. I feel like it could be a goodie. I just... didn't like. I didn't like the subject of
Yeah.
the plot. If it was like different, I feel like I'd like the first one way more than
Yeah,
the
yeah.
second one. So I'm gonna have to check that out.
Alright.
If you're interested, I would definitely suggest seeing the first and second one.
Yeah.
For these films.
So you
there-
wouldn't say that it works as a standalone.
Yeah, no. As a standalone, I was pretty just like, who are these people? I did like the fact that they didn't go into too much explaining of
That's
everything.
true. There's not much exposition at all.
Exactly. But I still picked up on things. And
Mm.
that's a problem with modern films nowadays. They explain everything that happens
Yeah.
in the previous ones way too much. And it feels very condescending. In this
Yeah.
movie, they figure that you'll figure things out, which I really like. And that's why it actually, like, feels bad for me to rate this an oldie. Because I feel like it could have been just that little bit better and it would have been a goodie.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it an oldie and
Okay.
say you could probably check this one out.
I would say check it out. It's on Netflix everywhere aside from Australia.
Yeah.
So,
So if
and the
you're
first one is on Netflix everywhere, including Australia.
so
So
at least watch the first one. I feel
Yeah.
like that's
definitely
the
watch
conclusion.
the first one. So that's a goodie from me and an oldie from Zach.
Woohoo!
And that's how the show works.
Yeah. So what for next episode? What are we doing?
Next episode, you're choosing a film.
Yes, that's right.
Let me just get the choices out. All right,
Yeah.
you
what
got
was my choices?
you got 3 picks.
Uh-huh.
There's a basketball movie called Blue Chips.
Pass.
I think Shaquille O'Neal's in it.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah. I like him.
There's a film that's got pretty good rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's called Reality Bites. It's
Huh?
a satire
Okay.
about romance movies.
Okay.
Directed by Ben Stiller.
Yeah. Ooh.
It stars him, Winona Ryder, and Ethan Hawke.
Ooh.
Or Steven Seagal's one and only directorial effort on Deadly Ground, which is like an action film, I think.
Oh, what's it about?
It's about oil rigs.
So what do we got? We got a sports film,
You got a sports film,
a thing about romance,
a satire. Yep.
satire, romance, or an action film. Have we done much action films yet? We haven't done an action film though.
No, we haven't done action yet, have we?
No, we haven't done an action film yet. So
It is Steven Seagal though.
yeah,
It
no.
is your choice. I'm gonna
No,
leave
no,
it
no,
up to
no,
you.
no, no.
But Steven,
We haven't done an action film yet.
Yeah.
I'll go with that one actually.
You're gonna go on Deadly Ground.
Yeah, on Deadly Ground. We'll go with that one.
All right. Next week on Deadly Ground, this is gonna be fun. Hope
Yeah.
you can join us then. We do end with our favorite quote from the film we
Oh
just
yeah,
saw.
favorite quote. You got your ears pierced without your dad's permission? You didn't get your legs shaved, did you? He'll never let you visit again if I send you back hairless and full of holes. That's definitely my favorite.
That's a good quote.
Yeah.
And look, it's pretty bad
Yeah.
sending a kid back to a parent's hairless and full of holes.
Yeah.
But it's not as bad as sending that kid back with swollen toes.
Oh no, not swollen toes. Oh.
See ya.
So yeah.